Let's talk about my characters, their stories, the world they inhabit, and all the little bits of lore in between. I have a character universe called Mariana. Now, I want you to think of it like real life with planet Earth. Planet Earth has many countries, and in those countries have kingdoms. My character universe is built around those kingdoms, the relationships between characters, and how they feed back into the world building. Every character has their own story, their own perception of how things happen. I have so many characters that one video wouldn't be enough, so I thought, let's break down the stories a bit into manageable chunks. Therefore, focusing on certain characters and their perspectives, what their main storyline is, what storylines that they appear in, and potential links to other storylines down the road. The three characters for this video are Camilla, Nickolas, and Warwick. First off, the relationship between these three is a mother and her two sons. But these sons have different fathers. If you were following the progress of my Inktober journey this year, you might recognise the names Nickolas and Warwick. It was one of the main storylines I focused on doing illustrations for throughout Inktober. This video will go more in depth into that story. In the background, I'll be drawing Camilla, Nickolas, and Warwick. If you don't see Camilla yet, it's because when starting this artwork, originally it did not include her. Since I've done similar illustrations in the past, I thought why not redraw it with Warwick included. Also, just know the background piece in this video itself took over 15 hours and definitely drove me a little bit cuckoo in the process. So if you would like more yap sessions about my OCs and their world, be sure to like the video and tell me what you think in the comments. Now without further ado, let's start the story, shall we? So let me set the scene. At the time, she was previously known as Lady Camilla Blake, daughter of Locus Earl. Camilla was a part of Locus royal court circles. Through these connections, she met Crown Prince Jonathan and his best friend, Sir Thomas Calisto. Thomas was the captain of Locus Royal Guard and a trusted member of the court, an insider that earned his position through hard work, since he had no noble blood of his own. Thomas's talent had always impressed Camilla, and she saw him as both handsome and useful. But this did also work both ways, as Camilla's nobility would elevate Thomas's own prominence within the court. They got along very well, and both families approved of the match. Camilla and Thomas got married and had a son named Nickolas. However, within 6 months of his son's birth, Thomas's role of captain of the Royal Guard became more demanding, and he had no choice but to be away from his family for months at a time. During Thomas's absence, Camilla started an affair with one of his colleagues. However, everything changed when Camilla discovered she was pregnant. She knew this baby was not Thomas's, even with his brief trips back home. She had to act quickly. She kept the pregnancy hidden for as long as she could, and came up with a plan to save her reputation for both herself and the affair partner. Okay, pause a minute. I'm not revealing the identity of the affair partner, aka Warwick's dad. It's a mystery Warwick will have to solve later on with the help of his half-sister. Yep, that's right. Camilla was not the only one having an affair. I've drawn a little family tree to give you a visual of what this mess looks like. I wonder if I do more of these videos on other characters, you might figure out on your own who Warwick's dad is. Okay, let's get back to the story. The plan was simple. Camilla, upon her husband's return, would poison his tea. That way, Thomas would not have to know about the affair, and Nickolas was too young to remember his father or know of a sibling anyway. Camilla would still end up with Thomas's connections, supporting her through her quote-unquote grief of Thomas's passing, and the affair could continue for a while longer undetected. This affair baby was a boy named Warwick, but this did not change the fact that he was illegitimate twice over. Camilla already had Nickolas to take care of, so she and Warwick's father struck up a deal to send Warwick away. Camilla's affair ended after the man left on private business away from Loca. They split on decent terms, understanding that both had different goals to achieve, and that if it was meant to be, they would find a way back to each other at the right time. They promised each other Warwick would remain their little secret. That was the backstory context, but let's focus on particular characters within this setting. Let's start with the affair baby himself, Warwick. Warwick would end up in the care of the Dovahkiin Knights Academy, located in Cinderash, this academy being the alma mater of his biological father. So say, if somebody wanted to look up records, it would be a good place to start. Warwick would grow up in the academy, becoming a knight himself, as well as a freelance tutor. The only thing is, Warwick doesn't have the nickname of my disaster child for nothing. He is clumsy and somewhat reckless, and is always seen with bruises, scrapes, and bandages. You could say that Nurse Iris has her work cut out for her. Warwick, despite who his parents are, is nothing like them. He is a very free, chaotic spirit, but he does wish to know where he came from. It's like a piece of him is missing almost. Nickolas grew up in Loka under the care of his overbearing mother. She had plans to matchmake him to Crown Princess Locally, the daughter of King Jonathan and his wife River. But this didn't really work out too well. While growing up in the court circles of Loka, Nickolas butts heads with King Jonathan's nephew, Prince Antony. Since the death of Thomas, Jonathan has become a bit like a pseudo-father figure for Nickolas, which is something Antony greatly resents. All three royal cousins, Antony, Lucille, and even Jonathan's daughter, Crown Princess Locally, also known as Loki, do not trust Nickolas and Camilla at all. The absence of Nickolas's father, Thomas, in the story is something Nickolas learns not to question his mother about directly, but Thomas's memory will be kept alive for Nickolas to discover by King Jonathan. Oh, by the way, I do actually have plans to do a video on the Loka royal cousins, so I'll save further discussion on Locally, Lucille, and Antony for another day. Okay, so just a heads up, the next few plot points might sound like they come out of left field, but they are better described from the point of view of other characters and not Camilla or Nickolas. When Nickolas is 17, two major events take place within the Kingdom of Loka, and they happen in quick succession. First is the unexpected death of King Jonathan's beloved wife, River, which leads on to the second one, the disappearance of Crown Princess Locally. After these events, Camilla and Jonathan grew closer together over the several years. She would make the case that since they were both widowed and they were old friends, they connected to each other on a more personal level. Camilla used the amped up feeling of grief of losing Thomas to ensnare Jonathan for herself. Unfortunately, it got to a point where Jonathan actually married Camilla and made her his second queen. But emotionally, Jonathan never really got over River. And eventually, when his daughter Locally returned back into the picture, Camilla's spell and hold over Jonathan was broken. The truth was revealed about River's death, and I'll leave it up to you whether Camilla was involved in that or not. Jonathan would divorce Camilla, and then Camilla would be placed under heavily guarded house arrest. During all of this turmoil with Jonathan and Camilla, Nickolas is just in the background, and he receives a letter from a certain princess of Verona, this being the youngest princess of Verona, Vanessa. Verona and Loka are actually right next to each other in terms of country placement, and she wanted to find out more about the history between the two kingdoms. Because of this, she sends a letter to the Loka royal court, and it ends up on Nickolas's desk. Fast forward a few years, and Nickolas and this princess of Verona meet for the first time. Through their letters, they've got more personal, more intimate. He felt like he could talk to her forever, and meeting each other for the first time, they fell in love. I think out of all of my characters, Nickolas actually has the most amount of interesting trivia about him. Before late 2017, he was actually seen as an evil character, an antagonist in a story that wasn't his own. But when I started creating the character universe of Mariana, one of the first few questions I asked myself was, does he settle down and have a family of his own? He does. He ends up marrying Princess Vanessa of Verona and having a daughter named Isla. The result of Camilla being queen for Nickolas is that because he is recently married and he has a daughter, he has to be really protective, and he becomes the ultimate girl dad. Because of Nickolas and Jonathan's father and son-like connection, and the way Nickolas was creating boundaries with his own mother after the arrest was made, Jonathan actually made Nickolas the ambassador to a kingdom called Mariposa. But for Mariposa, that's another story. So for this video, I've told you in the style of an actual story and going back through each of the points of view of the characters and how they match up. Because I have a huge character universe, I thought, how could I separate them out into separate stories? Now, there are separate stories going on pretty much around the same time as each other, whether they're in different kingdoms or they contain different characters. This video has been a very long time in the making. I've been trying to figure out a format for it because when you have a character universe that has all of these characters, all of these stories with a huge timeline running through it, think of it like the real world. All of these connection points and crossing paths, you have so many things going on at once. How do you put it in order? So this video was definitely a lot of trial and error in terms of figuring out the format. And if you have any thoughts, any opinions on the story, the characters, even the format of this video going forward, I'd love to know, because I'd really like the idea of this being a series and you can actually refer back to old episodes and see where things match up. It's a great way to document the character development and the evolution of a character over time, not just from a storytelling perspective, but from a creative perspective as well. I actually do have an old character development video for Nickolas, an old Meet the OCs, if you will, and that was actually done right at the beginning of creating my character universe. Seeing the evolution of his character over time is actually really interesting. Warwick is actually a very recent addition to this story, but he does make sense within this. I even say in Nickolas's old video that I wouldn't put it past Camilla to kill off Thomas for whatever reason. Warwick became that reason. If you enjoyed this video and would like to see more content like this, you can like and subscribe to this channel for more. I definitely would like to do more character story videos this year if you're up for it. But I shall see you in my next video. Bye guys!